Speaking of deals, even if one is struck to avert the fiscal cliff, taxes are still going up. And that means for you too, even if you're not making $400,000 per year. Sudeep Reddy's in Washington. He's here to deliver the bottom line. Sudeep, you know what we're talking about here? There was an interesting component of the president's deal to John Boehner yesterday. Tell us about that.
Well, the president in his latest offer dropped a provision that he had been pushing for, an extension of his payroll tax cut that has been in place for 2 years. This lowers the payroll tax by 2 percentage points, which is significant across the economy because it affects every wage earner in the country. So almost every American is affected by this. For a typical household making $50,000 a year, that's $1,000 that they will not have in their pockets next year. And this is actually really important both economically and politically. We went through an entire campaign with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle saying that this fiscal cliff issue would not affect middle-income taxpayers. It would only affect, according to Democrats, people above $250,000. Republicans said no tax increases for anyone. But this payroll tax cut is now going to lapse at the end of the year, and the Obama administration seems willing to drop it in the name of compromise, but that's going to actually weigh on the economy.
So this is going to hit all taxpayers. By the way, there's a tool we have on our website next to in your blog, we should mention for users, where if you type in how much you make, for instance, you type in 50,000 bucks and you'll see you're going to pay $1,000 more in payroll taxes. So, and Sudeep, I mean, that's really roughly what we're talking about here, is that for everyone, even if you're making $75,000, $45,000 a year, you're still paying payroll tax in your monthly check.
Absolutely, and that is money, because we haven't seen very large wage gains across the economy. This is a really important support for the economy as other areas have been weak, as you've got the government pulling back in other ways. You at least have some support for families that have been struggling to get by. And the biggest concern is that nobody has really laid the groundwork for this provision to be expiring. We've always known that it was temporary, but there have been a lot of pledges, at least from Democrats from the White House, that this would be extended a bit further. And the fact that it's not being extended is going to weigh on consumer spending throughout the year. And even if you get the extension of all the income tax rates that Washington is fighting about right now, this is an important drag on the economy, because we're looking at an economy that's maybe going to be growing at a 2% rate next year, and this will take at least 0.6 of a point off of that. So it's a substantial drag for an already slow-growing economy.
But I mean, if we step back for a minute, Sudeep, we've got to say look, we don't have to pay payroll taxes. We don't have to pay Medicare taxes, right? But eventually these pension schemes, they've got to be funded.
Oh, absolutely, and this was actually just an accounting tool that was used by the government to get money into people's pockets quickly. It lowered the Social Security tax by 2 percentage points. Other government accounts actually reimbursed that Social Security fund in this way. So it was really just to make sure that it went into people's paychecks in a way that they'd be able to spend it quickly, and that's why it's been such an important factor in the economy, because almost all of it does get spent rather quickly compared with, say, a rebate check that we went through in 2001 and 2008. And so that's why it's such an incredibly supportive tool, though of course you have to draw the line somewhere, and you have to decide at some point to cut this back. The bigger problem, though, is if people haven't been prepared for it, it could be a shock earlier in the year when they start getting those paychecks.
Okay, Sudeep Reddy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ralph.